before you knew it, it was now the marching orders for our team, and people were so enthused. Like we had to go up 5 peaks on a mountain, and that I would, when I felt like the energy was low, I would start chanting it out. And it's crazy, the whole team, all 75 of us, would start chanting it. Wherever you stopped at, wherever you stopped, once we came back to meet you, you would join in the chants, and everybody felt so connected doing that, that I remember everybody was like, yo, like, I don't know where you got that from. If Hello and welcome to another incredible episode of Music and Nostalgia. It is I, your host, Dakbo, and I'm here to share with you another awesome episode. This time we're going to go down a different path, but still the same road, right? Yeah, different lane, same road, however you want to call it. Today we're going to look at a song. Let me give you the song first, right? The song that we're going to be traveling down memory lane with, or at least exploring, is Ain't No Mountain High Enough. And it's been done by several people, right? Several artists have done it. It's been used in so many different ways. It's also been used in scores and stuff for movies and TV shows. So today I wanted to explore that song because that song has been in my head for quite a few days, and I thought it'd be appropriate to bring it. And here's why, right? It's really, really because of the movie that I watched back in 2000. That was just amazing to me. It was chock full of actors that I just loved their work then, before they were even really big for some of them, and some that I got to appreciate their work afterwards. So it's just a really dynamic movie for me. But that song just really, it just was the hook for me. Oh, well, it's okay. I'm cheating a little bit. This episode, I'm going to talk about one song and then two chants. Even though one of them was an actual song, it was really, I've only ever really known it as a chant. So just roll with me here. Follow me on this path here as we go down this trip to explore the movie Remember the Titans, touching really on Ain't No Mountain High Enough. So first off, let me give you a little something. I'm sure, if you're living in this world, you've heard the song one way or another. It's probably been sampled in ways that you appreciate it. But for those of you that don't know, right? The song Ain't No Mountain High Enough was written by Ashford and Simpson. It was one of those, moments that they experienced walking around in Manhattan in New York, and wrote the song. And I mean, they shopped it out to a few artists. The very first that I believe they worked with for that song was actually on a collabo deal where the Supremes and the Temptations were doing a project together, and Diana Ross and Dennis Edward came together to work on this song, because Dennis Edwards is who replaced David Ruffins from the Temptation. So just that was where it started. But I'm most familiar, and for several reasons, I'm most familiar with the Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell version, or is it Tammy Terrell? Tammy Terrell. I'm most familiar with that version. However, every time I hear it, I still think, why do I hear Diana Ross? Not that she's the one singing it, but it always brings me back to the fact that Diana Ross sang it. So, just because growing up, my parents love Motown and a lot of music from that era. So I got to hear it so much growing up. So it really was a dynamic part of my journey growing up. And then the year 2000 came along. Let me tell you first off, right? Let me look at the movie. The movie Remember the Titans was just so fire for several reasons, right? I went to high school in Decatur, Georgia. The movie was actually filmed all over Atlanta. Like, we recognized the school that, we were like, oh man, I recognize that's Druid Hill, because, it was part of, DeKalb County. So we knew the areas, right? We recognized some things, especially when it was mentioned to us. It became easier to recognize, like, oh, that's why I recognize that. Um, so Remember the Titans was so fire for several reasons, right? Because it came out in the fall of 2000. Um, and I remember that song was just blaring because there's a scene where they're in the locker room clowning around and they start singing that, and boom, it just becomes this theme throughout the entire movie. Because when you think about the message behind the song, it's like, I don't care how high the challenges are, how deep the obstacles may be, or how wide we're spread away from whatever our goal is, that it can't stop me, right, from getting to my goal, from getting to my desire. And that song really speaks to the path that anybody who's on a journey would like to take. Like, it will spark, look, politicians use it in their campaign journeys, and you see it because it just speaks to the desire to overcome, right? Such a beautiful, magnificent song. But let me flip it over back to the movie. Remember the Titans. I remembered so vividly that, since it came out in the fall, I was already a student at Mercer University. I talk about Mercer University quite a bit because I really have some beautiful friends and family that I've gone to build relationships with from that campus that, we met in 2000 for a majority of us. And to this day, 20 plus years later, we're still incredible friends. So a lot of stories really come from that, because there's a relationship and there's history there. Well, we go to see the movie, and Mercer used to do this one thing where we had Mercer movie night, and you could go see whatever movie they had on the lineup for $1 at the theater. We only had one movie theater down in Macon, so at the theater. So we go to watch the movie, and I went to college with a few other people that I went to high school with. Two others in particular that I was classmates with. So we, matriculated through high school together and then ended up being in college together. So it was just such a dynamic move. Like it just brought us together. So we went to go see the movie, and because we're fresh out of high school, we were athletes while we were in school. I was a wrestler. I played soccer. So I had a Letterman jacket. And it happened to be that the school in the movie, T.C. Williams High School, were Titans, and their color was maroonish and white, which was also my colors for my school, and we were Titans. So what do you think we did when we went to go watch the movie? Yep, you said it. Yes, absolutely. We went to see the movie in our socks. So we had Titan socks that we had somebody make for us while we were, so the team had matching socks. We had white and maroon. So we went wearing one white, one maroon sock with Titan written down the sock. And then we went with our Titan t-shirt. And then we went with our Letterman jackets, which was all emblazoned with Titans all over it. So folks were probably looking at us like, hold up, what's going on here? Is this their school? But we were so committed to it that we went to that, and we were singing our fight song, which I'll get to in a minute. I won't go into it. I might mess some words up. But I know we went there with every bit of our pride. We were so elated, excited, ecstatic. You name any of those words that show pride and enthusiasm, we had them, because we were at a movie where we got to experience what could be envisioned in that moment as our school. Even though at the time we went there, it was majority Black. Like we weren't fighting the battles that they faced in the movie. But we went to that movie with such vigor that after the movie was over, one, it was fire. It was an amazing movie. But we hung out in the parking lot, just clowning, talking about, oh, did you see? I remember Baker, right? My boy Baker was so fired. Like he was wearing shorts, pulled up his socks extra high, and was wilding out. I mean, like he was just like any one of us, was emotionally attached to the movie. My boy Chris, rest in peace, was there with us too, rocking it out. We even had folks from other DeKalb County schools rocking with us. Like, Teef was there. You had Dewan and you had Jamar. And, it was a moment where we could now just kind of rub it in each other's face, because we would rib each other about different things like, oh, marching band and all of that stuff. And they clowned us about that. They're like, yeah. That's y'all school. But did you see that marching band? They suck. I mean, and they did. But that's not the point. It was about the football team. But it was also about something else that I got to learn while watching this movie. I came to the United States a few years prior, and up until that point, I still didn't really understand. And till this day, I'm still learning so much about racial tensions and racism and discrimination. Because I would look at certain things and just think, oh, okay, and kind of brush it off and ignore it, not honor the moment and understand that there was something there to handle or to be dealt with. So it was an awareness thing for me. And I got to see it from a perspective of watching the movie and seeing things at that time that I just thought, oh, it's just pretty random and regular, right? Like folks not wanting to play on the same team, or folks not wanting to sit together, or, parents not wanting their kid to mix with somebody else's kid. So I looked at those things in the past and thought, well, okay, these are preferences that people had, but there was nothing beyond just that preference on the surface. But I got to learn a lot, and when you look at the movie, there are several characters, several actors. First off, the great Denzel Washington. Unc, if you're watching this, we see you, right? Denzel Washington was a significant player. He was the coach. He came into a school where a white coach was supposed to be leading the team, and then they got a switcheroo, and then he was put in place, and now there was that tension of swapping roles and then finding ways to try to knock him off the totem pole and knock him out of coaching, and basically end his career there. And there were so many things that they played out. Now, I've heard versions that said, okay, so it's a Hollywood movie, right? First off. So we know they're going to embellish it. They have to dramatize it. They have to give us the feel of sitting on the edge of our seat. We know in real life, we're not seeing these moments for just the dramatic moments. We're going through each moment as we journey in life as a part of our day to day. You don't see the end from the point you're in. You don't know if, you keep working out, you'll get the shape you want. But you trust that if you continue on the journey, you'll get better than you were yesterday, right? But that's what you don't see in real life. But of course, they condense it, shape it, flip it around to make it sound good, look good, feel good for the movie. And that's what Hollywood does. So we expect that. However, when you look at all the tensions, whether or not it was actually happening in that moment in real life back then, or if it was something they fabricated to enhance the conversation of what was going on, to intensify the need to keep watching, right? Because if it was just an regular everyday today type thing, people probably wouldn't watch it. Well, with this movie, they did a great job of getting us to see all of the drama, see all the tension. And they flipped when things happen around just to give us a real feel for, what the movie would feel like. And, if you packed everything really tight. So that's what I really appreciated about the movie. Now, if you have not seen the movie, I hope me talking about it, because I'm if you haven't seen it now, it's been 22 years. So if I drop a plot line, you kind of I can't help you, right? Because 22 years. If you weren't born if you were just born within that 22-year window, I implore you to go watch the movie. One, because it's just cinematically, it's just exciting to watch. But also Denzel. You have oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank on names. I can remember the characters because I'm thinking in the mode of the movie, except for Denzel, right? But so you have Coach Boone, you have Coach Yost, you have Julius. Which, by the way, so what tripped me up about him is that I remember seeing him in a movie way back in the early 90s, like mid 90s, right? Where playing basketball, street ball, and all of that. And then all of a sudden, here he is, like 6 years later, 7 years later, and he's playing a high school kid. I was like, yo, like, how's this? I literally went to go check him up the other day online because I was like, no, I know brother's got to be like 50. And he's right like 51, 52 or something like that. So it blew my mind that, yo, he was playing this young cat in 2000. I was fooled. I would have thought he was a high school kid. But what was remarkable about the movie too is there's so many quotable lines from this movie, right? Like, you're killing me, Petey. You're killing me. How many feet are there in a mile? How many feet? I could go on with line after line after line. It's so quotable, so dynamic. There's so many scenes that people have played out and utilized in different ways because it was just such a touching movie. So for me, it really exposed me to some visuals of racial tension in the framework of how it affects a people in an environment in a really tight time frame, right? It exposed me to that, but it also showed me on the flip side what teamwork looks like, how you overcome some of these obstacles, right? It's by not separating yourselves. It's by learning from each other, learning about each other, and working through the challenges together. And allowing each other to face those challenges together. I learned a lot of those things because I had the opportunity to sit there and see the framework in which they put it in. And it was so great to see that because I learned so much about it. And remember, if we go back to the song now, we can think of some of the lyrics like, ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low, ain't no river wide enough to keep me from you, right? Cause baby, there ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough, ain't no river wide enough to keep me from getting to you, babe. Right? Like it was just, it was a bop, like still a bop. You hear it now and you still got to move to it because it's, the words mean so much still. Like it's not seasonal. It doesn't matter the time of year or the phase of your life. We're always, as long as we're always elevating, there's always that desire to fight our way through to the other side or, travel through to the other side. I've heard some people don't like the fight, but, to navigate through, right? Either way, you still got to face resistance. There's friction there. So that song just really touches so many powerful nerves, and it's so inspiring. So now I do have to say something else about the chant songs that I was really inspired by, right? So the first one I'm going to go with is Na Na, Hey Hey, Goodbye, right? Na 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 Na, Na 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 Na, hey. Did you say goodbye? I bet you did, right? That, I didn't even know that the whole song, right? But I forever in life have always heard that part. It's been used. I remember as an athlete, we would do that when we were playing in the opposite team and they were starting to lose. We would start the chant, and it was so good to see them utilize it in the movie. And it was great, the points where they used it and how they used it. They used it when they were coming back home from camp in the movie, and they used it when Bertier, one of the athletes that was in the car accident, had passed away, and that was one of those unifying songs that they utilized to really kind of show their emotions and also take us on the journey of how they felt, because the intonation, the vibe, the energy they sang it with made a difference. It spoke to where they were in those moments. And so I just love that because I remember being an athlete coming back, utilizing songs. And for me, when I was an athlete in high school, coming back, like one of the things that, particularly my wrestling team, because I had more road trips with them than say when I was a soccer player. But on our trips, every time we came back from a match, no matter what it was, we always utilized our school fight song, and it was always all the way turned up. Like it was, I remember joining the team, and the first time we had an away meet, and on our way back, we rarely lost. Like, matter of fact, we didn't lose as a team um very often. Like, it was rare. When I say rare, we might have lost a few matches, but yeah, we were taking our team to the state tournaments just about every year I was there, right? So every time we came back, part of our tradition was to sing, "May we always boast as we sing a toast to maroon and white evermore." Right? We sang the whole thing. I was afraid to go on because I might have forgot some words there, but you know the feeling, right? And we were singing it at the top of our lungs, so much pride. And there is where I started to have a love and appreciation for the school, because now I was building relationships with my team. Because up until that point, outside of those moments, I was always an outsider. So that was the bridge for me, just like that song was for them. Every time they sang it, it was a bridge for them. It brought them to a point. It pulled them through a challenge, right? And it got them over to the other side. So I always loved hearing that every single time that we sang it. And even now, if I was to go to a game for my school, I can guarantee I'm going to hear it. And when I do, the whole body is going to go up in song with it. So that was always something that I loved. Now, one more thing, it's a chant. It's not a song, it's a chant. But I got to go through this one really quickly for you guys, just to show you. I told you this one is packed. Like, you guys are going to have to like pause it at some point and go gather some information. But this one is an unofficial. I don't even know if you can find it anywhere but in the movie. And it's when their entry into the game, they say, "Coach, we gonna do it. We gonna warm up a different way." And so they come in, and they're like rocking and rolling, and it's the and they start with, oh my gosh, they start with something, and then they line up there on the field, and they go, "Everywhere we go, people wanna know who we are, so we tell them, we are the Titans, mighty, mighty Titans," right? And they went through that whole thing, and I promise you, for life, it used to fire me up, like just watching it. Like, we immediately took to that, like me, Baker, Chris, and we just took to that, and it became a part of our natural chant. Like, when we were together, it was guaranteed that if we wanted to hype up, we were using that. Now, fast forward a few years, it was so ingrained in me that I went for a retreat. With there's a motivational speaker, author, at least back in the early 2000s, when he was hosting some events. He would have, and he had a warrior camp or something like that, and we went to one of his things, and it was over 300 people. I knew nobody there on the way there, and I was nervous because I was like, yo, like, I'm going all the way to Vancouver from Atlanta, not knowing a soul. I don't know how. Whew, nervous, right? I wasn't, just imagine what possibilities could be crossing your mind at that very moment. But I was committed to it, and I decided I would go. I went on that trip, and I remember thinking, geez, like, how am I going to connect with people? I'm not shy, but I'm not that blah out there guy, right? I kind of ease into connections, right? So I was really nervous about that. Well, they split us into four teams. It was 300 people. So divided into four teams. So that's about 75 people per team. And there were people of all varying backgrounds, careers, age groups. And so I was right there in the younger part of it, because I was in my 20s, and here I am in groups with people in their 50s, 60s. I believe there was somebody even older. And so we had to come up with a team name. We had to come up with kind of our mantra that we would go by. And out of nowhere, one day, like, not, it wasn't the first day, it wasn't the second day. Oh, we were out there for 5 days, but somewhere along the way, we had to face some challenges. And I remember chanting this and having everybody chant along with me. And before you knew it, it was now the marching orders for our team, and people were so enthused. Like, we had to go up 5 peaks on a mountain, and that I would, when I felt like the energy was low, I would start chanting it out. And it's crazy, the whole team, all 75 of us, would start chanting it. Wherever you stopped, once we came back to meet you, you would join in the chants, and everybody felt so connected doing that I remember everybody was like, yo, like, I don't know where you got that from. If you have something that that's some team that you're a part of, but we love it. And it became the marching order for our team. Matter of fact, we had other teams now trying to create some kind of a chant. I wish I'd created it or come up with something, but I didn't. I just borrowed it from this movie, but it was that ingrained in me that I stuck with it and I utilized it in that moment. And please remember the Titans, Disney, don't come after me, because it wasn't recorded, so y'all can't do nothing, right? But it was a beautiful experience, man. And when you think about it, ain't no mountain high enough is where we started, right? And then whatever obstacles and challenges that I faced, I always utilized some of the stories, some of the experiences from other people to help me through. And thinking about some of the things that they told about in the movie, Remember the Titans, I utilized some of those messages to grow myself, to overcome some challenges. We learn from other people's overcoming a challenge, or we have to go learn it on our own. So why not use other people's stories? It's great when we can learn from other people and circumvent some of the challenges. It doesn't shorten the distance to our goal. It doesn't remove all obstacles, but it certainly guides us when we are in an obstacle to know, hey, I may have fallen into a challenge here, but it's not over yet. There's still the other side. So that's what I'm sharing here with you guys. No matter what your obstacles are, no matter what you're feeling doubt in, we're in the second month of the year right now. And if you feel like, hey, I'm not reaching my goals, I'm not getting where I need to go, if you're planning things out for the year, and you're like, oh gosh, I'm off by a month and a half now, how do I do it? Don't worry about what you missed already. Look at where you are and set another goal. Reset your goal, refocus your energy, and say, I'm starting from now, right? I'm starting from today. Forget what happened yesterday. If it happened, learn from it, adjust and recalibrate, move forward with all intentions, because your goal can only shrink when you take small bites at it. Treat it like the elephant. The only way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. Don't go for the entire tusk. Don't go for the trunk. Just go one bite at a time. Reach for your goals and trudge for it, but do something every single day, because no matter what it is, ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough, and ain't no river wide enough to keep you away from your destination. Thank you guys for joining me on another episode of Music and Nostalgia. I'm so excited to be with you guys today. This being the month of February, I'm really excited to be celebrating Black History Month and telling some stories that hopefully mean something to you on your journey. Because I know that no matter where we are or no matter where we're going, we're going to face challenges, we're going to have obstacles, but the joy is truly in the journey. Thank you for joining me. Make sure you subscribe, share, and like this episode and all the others as well. Thank you. Looking forward to having you on the next episode. Peace.